How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at They're Watching. This is from 2016, written and directed by Micah, Wright, and Jay Lander. And given their past writing credits, we get a pretty funny top of the box here from the writers of Call of Duty Black Ops 2 and SpongeBob SquarePants. That's weird past credits for a horror movie, but you know what? It somehow seems to work. This movie stars Brigid Brannagh, David Alpay, Kris, Lemche, and Mia Marcon. And this is a movie that when I first heard the concept, expected something pretty different than what it turned out to be. This is a found footage movie about a home TV show. You know those TV shows about the couple that finds the house? The show's version is called Home Hunters Global. It's clearly a parody of House Hunters International. And the thing is, when I heard this concept, a found footage movie about a home TV show, I was expecting much more of a sarcastic take on the home TV shows, and I thought this would be a haunted house movie. I mean, doesn't that movie kind of write itself? We do a tour of a haunted house and find all sorts of wacky shenanigans. But no, that's not really what this movie is. Honestly, in the first two acts of this movie, it's kind of more of a chill hangout movie. We get to really know the film crew, and a lot of the humor isn't really satire of home TV shows. It's just the way this group bounces off of each other and the jokes and camaraderie they have. They're really fun characters and I liked hanging out with them, but I didn't really expect it to be a hangout movie. And the first two acts of this movie really rely on that creepy villager trope. You walk into a village, everyone turns and looks at you, maybe they're up to something, and maybe if I violate a taboo, they might all turn on me. And we get some fun, creepy moments out of them, but they're really the scary part for most of those first two acts, and sadly, they do have to milk them a little more than they should, and the first two acts aren't super scary. But then we get to the proper horror in the third act of this movie, and I don't want to spoil it too much, but boy does this movie get big and over the top and fun, but I really wish we had corrected that pacing issue. I don't mind hanging out with these characters and I really do like them, but to kind of bottleneck all the horror to the very end and the lore and what's really going on in this movie is a really interesting idea, but again, it all comes in that third act, and I really wish that we had found a way to pull some of the horror, some of the action, and some of the mystery and have it more prevalent. It may be at least in Act 2, because yeah, why I do like this movie, there is quite a pacing issue, and by the end of Act 2, it was starting to get a little slow, and I know a lot of people will like that third act, but I don't know how people will feel about the first two. Like I said, I didn't mind either of the two sections, I just wish we had pulled the third into the first. Overall, I did like it. I just want you guys to know, expect a more laid-back movie than you're probably thinking of, but it did have some fun moments, and I did like the characters, and when we get to that end, boy was it fun and crazy, and really does make it worth it. But again, know what you're getting into with this one. All that being said though, I do want to talk a bit about the plot. I'm not going to do any major spoilers, so I'll try to be avoiding a lot of that third act, but I do want to say my piece on a few plot points and break down and analyze a few things. So from here on out, let's do a bit of a deeper dive. We open up with a section from the show, and we get to see this couple. The wife is a potter, and the husband is a famous soccer star, and they're going to this small Romanian village, and they find this old and creepy house, and there's a bit of a gag where the wife is totally in love with it, and the husband's like, "Are you sure we want to live here? You're seeing this creepy house, right?" Well, this section, the opening bit, is all edited, and it's ready to go for the show, and honestly, I thought this was what more of the movie would be. This opening is the closest we get to direct parody of a home show, but from here here on out it's more of a standard found footage movie. You see, why the opening was edited is because this show's gimmick is we see a couple buy a house and then we wait, like I think it's 6 months or something, and come back and see what they did to the house. Did they renovate it? Did they change it? How do they like it? And this is what we're seeing right now. And you get a pretty fun cast of characters. There's the host of the show who's also the producer, who knows how to be good on camera, but when the camera's off, she's going to be quite mean. Then we get the funny guy who provides a lot of the levity. He's a sound recordist, and he always has a sarcastic comeback, and he's ready to poke fun at whatever situation they're in. And then you get the DP, who had previously worked as a journalist in Afghanistan, and the movie hints several times that there's been some trauma there, and it does have a good payoff, but the movie is a little heavy-handed that there will be a payoff. They remind you quite a few times that this guy was in Afghanistan. And then you get the main girl. She's an intern. She's just gotten out of film school, and you do get this bit where she's trying to find her place and understand the group dynamic. The other characters will make fun of her for having just gotten out of film school. Meanwhile, they've had lots of real-world experience, and there's little bits where she'll start talking during the footage, and the host has to be like, you're not a character in this, you're not supposed to talk. And we do get her joining the group and them all becoming more and more friends as the movie goes on. As I said, a good bit of camaraderie. Now that being said, it is a little weird that they film so much of themselves just running around. They say, oh, it's just a thing we do, but that being said, you're using a lot of memory there. And yeah, I guess you want to have the cameras going because you never know what's going to happen, but boy, are they shooting a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I guess this is just a bit of the suspension of disbelief. Well, after that, we get into the village, and honestly, we hang out more at the village than we do at the house, and I don't really like that that's the balance. You know, like when you have the house that's supposed to be the big creepy location, it's weird that we don't spend too much time there in the first 2 acts, but like I said, they do kind of try to milk the villagers for all they're worth. There's going to be the creepy lady that stands and watches them. They're going to see several going into a church, and they're going to find something scary inside that church, and there are several times where you think, okay, let's try to be friendly with these people, let's see if we can open up to them, and the relationship is always rocky. Now, out of the villagers, you do have 2 that are different. A police officer that's really trying his best to keep the peace, but also the local realtor. The realtor is a really funny guy. He has this joke about how he's the best realtor because he's the only one in this small village, and he really tries to keep things upbeat, and yeah, he was a pretty likable character. But he takes them to the house, and we go back to the house a few times to shoot things, and that's where we get a little bit of the mystery creeping in. The lady says that she's fine and she loves the village, but we kind of wonder what all's happened in that period of time between the 2 segments. We get elements where, like, she goes into her basement and says, under all that dirt, I found these hidden murals, and the murals depict this story of a witch that used to be in the village that all the villagers got together and burned at the stake. And you can see here some clues starting to creep in. We get to see little pieces about what might really be going on here, and I did like the mystery, but again, we don't really get any big pieces till in that 3rd act. I wish we got more of finding clues at the house, and I really wish we got to have more of the, I wonder what's going on here, I wonder what the villain of this movie will be, I wonder, is it all humans, is there a supernatural element, what exactly happened here in the past? But again, we don't stay at the house much, we're mostly in the village for those first 2 acts. And then we get to Act 3, big pieces come together, some really interesting revelations, and the big horror stuff. So overall, I liked the pieces of this movie. It's just that pacing, the way it stays at a certain level, that's a fun level, but maybe stays at it too long. And the way that everything's piled up at the end here, I really wish the mystery was more spread out, and I really wish we had more of the other horror elements in this movie, other than the creepy villagers being creepy for, again, pretty much just 2 acts there. I will say a lot of you that like over-the-top horror are gonna like that 3rd act, but yeah, I don't know how well it exactly meshes with the more laid-back first 2 acts of this movie. But all that being said, I did like it when we got there, and I really did like hanging out with these characters. It was a fun movie, but don't expect too much of that satire of HGTV. Expect it to be more the, fun humor of hanging out in a group of friends that are kind of like the only network they have as they go from country to country and kind of learn to depend on each other. Overall, I liked it. I just wish we had fixed the pacing here. So I can recommend it. Just know that you have to wait a while, and just know that you have to be chill with a movie that's maybe chill a little bit too long, but it's worth it to get to the end. Anyway though, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my found footage movies playlist, where you can see me talk about Blair Witch, VHS, Troll Hunter, several other cool movies. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Playlist here. Have a good day now.